Hello and welcome to another episode of JumpCast. I am your host, Alex, and joining me as usual are the wonderful Simon and Charlotte.
Hello.
Ahoy.
And we've got lots to talk about today, and I'm very, very excited to get to that. But before we do, how are we all doing? Have we had a good week?
It's been all right. Yeah, it's been fairly just busy with life, you know. It's one of those weeks where, I mean, the weather's been absolutely god awful, but everyone's just insistent on doing everything, and you just kind of have to follow suit, you know.
I completely agree. It feels like it's been such a busy week, but also not a busy week at the same time. I don't know.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, very true. How about you, Charlotte?
I've considered getting into carpentry because it feels like Noah's Ark is required for the past weekend with the weather.
Well, you know what is so funny is that actually when it's been raining up here, it's actually been when I've been in work. So it's just funny to see all the customers running from their cars when it's absolutely pissing it down. And I'm just inside, just dry as a bone, just like...
Do you then turn to them and go, "Oh, is it raining outside?"
Oh, you know what? I don't, but I feel like I'm going to do that now.
Like Andy McDowell in Four Weddings and a Funeral. Is it raining? I
Is
hadn't
it raining?
noticed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, customers come in and say some really oblivious things, so maybe I need to return the favor.
I think you should.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
endorse that.
So what have we been watching this week? I feel like, Simon, you probably haven't been watching much because you've been so busy, but is there anything on your radar?
Well, it's a bit contentious. You know, some people have called it a film. Famously, Cahiers du Cinema called it their favourite film of the last decade. I've been catching up with Twin Peaks: The Return. So yeah, I was very late coming to the original series and loved it, and pretty much just went straight from that into this. So maybe I haven't had, you know, the struggle of 25 years of waiting for more Twin Peaks. But I'm really loving it. It's very David Lynch. It's honestly, it's beautiful. It's weird. It's oh god. I mean, it's exactly what fans of that series would want. And I'm just loving being able to coast right through it as you know, with all the luxuries of box setting and streaming services.
And binge watching is the best thing. Yeah, you know what? I've never watched Twin Peaks. I feel like so many people have been like, Alex, you need to watch Twin Peaks, and I've just never kind of got round to it.
Yeah, I'd recommend it, but with a very big asterisk of I'd recommend it, but bear with it because it tests your patience sometimes.
Now, somebody who I know who is a fan of Twin Peaks, a very big fan, probably describe, because there's a film, right? Is it called Fire Walk with Me or something?
That's it,
like
yeah.
that?
Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah. Now, do correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, he was telling me something about the fact that David Bowie plays a toaster or something.
Something like that. So,
which sounds very David Lynch. Like it sounds quite up to his standards, but
So yeah, it's a weird one because like he's in it very briefly in the film, and then he disappears and he shows up. Well, spoiler alert, I guess, for people who haven't yet watched Twin Peaks: The Return. But he shows up as a kettle.
Ah, it's a kettle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was a kitchen appliance.
It's hot stuff.
Oh, very good.
His performance
Yeah.
in The Prestige was electrifying.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh dear. But they absolutely crucified him after the Last Temptation of Christ.
Well done.
Thank you.
We took it full circle there. We did well. Awesome. Well, how about you, Charlotte? Anything nice on the box, on the old telly?
So I've not been doing films. I've been binging as well, TV series. Although Martin Scorsese was executive producer on it, Boardwalk Empire.
Oh,
Amazing cast. It's just so evocative. Kind of feels like a nice companion to Peaky Blinders, which I loved. And
Oh,
on the one hand, I can't believe it's taken me 11 years to watch it. On the other hand, I can now binge it all in one go, so it's pretty awesome.
it's always the best when you do that. I think I did that most recently with maybe Schitt's Creek. I think
Oh
I'd
yeah.
kind of picked it up when there was only one series left. So I had like 4 series just to watch all in one, and it was, yeah, it's just always so good.
It's nice to finish a series knowing you don't have to wait a year for the next bit. The big
Yeah,
climax of the drama. Like, I can just watch it now.
exactly.
Which is exactly what they wanted to happen, I'm sure.
I have an issue with TV series. I tend to not like, if I know that there's a long time to wait until the next series comes out, I'll watch it incredibly slowly because I'm like, I don't want to wait a year. I'll wait to watch the episodes that are already out rather than waiting a year for the next episode.
So yeah, I hate being that person who just watches something in like the off season because it's exactly that. And so the most recent thing for me that happened with was Succession. So I watched the first 2
Oh,
series pretty much one after the other because I just hooked. And then I was like absolutely itching and jonesing for series 3, and it's
and
apparently coming soon. But it's just
they
like,
have filmed it. Yeah, it's on its way. I've been
oh my
waiting to
god.
see. I think I watched it kind of before the off season, or like maybe just as the off season started. So
Right.
I've been waiting a hell of a long time for this series. So I'm really excited for it.
The worst thing is we're now going to have to watch it weekly, which I don't know if I can manage. I'm not sure.
Depending on how the first episode goes, I might just like save it and then I can binge it all at once it's finished.
It's
But
not a bad idea,
but
to be honest.
then also Succession is one of those
Spoilers.
shows. Yeah, no spoilers here on this, but all I'm saying is Succession is one of those shows where it has the kind of water cooler effect on Twitter.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was
So
thinking.
yeah, literally spoilers. Yeah, I understand where you're going with that now. Yeah, so it's just so hard to avoid anything like the night after it's aired because so many people talk about it. So yes, and we might be forced to.
Well,
I finished up with Never Have I Ever season 2, just as good as the first season. Absolutely adore it. Hopefully there'll be a season 3. It's not been confirmed yet, but very exciting if it does. Absolutely love it, adore it. I think it's one of the best teen comedies to come out in the past few years. Love it.
nice.
So that's written by Mindy Kaling, right?
It is, yes, yeah. And very
She's currently
strangely,
working on Legally Blonde 3.
I think she is, yeah, something
Wait, is
like
Legally
that.
Blonde 3 happening?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, guys. Oh, I'm excited.
Reese Reese Witherspoon confirmed it on Instagram quite a while ago now, I think. But
Have I
yeah,
been living
I
in a
just read
cave?
an
Oh my god.
yeah, I just read an interview with I don't want to call her Stifler's mum. I should remember her name.
Oh, Jennifer Coolidge?
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes. And
The
she was talking
legend.
about it and how she's loving the process right now.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm so
Yes.
excited. Oh,
That is going to be great.
It's just gonna be me making that noise for the rest of this podcast now.
Well, we're going to be talking about the big releases of the week very soon. But before we do that, as usual, I say as usual, but it's only the second time we've done it. We're going to be talking about this week's big news and starting off with something that we're all very excited for, I think.
Oh yeah.
And a bit of a surprise, actually, because I don't think anybody really saw it coming, but here it is. Legendary UK animation studio Aardman, who are, of course, known for wonderful films like Chicken Run and Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep, and Early Man are going to be teaming up with filmmaker Gurinder Chadha, who you might know from directing Bend It Like Beckham and Blinded by the Light, amongst other films, are going to be teaming together to make a new feature film project for family audiences. And it's described by Aardman as an exuberant, warm-hearted musical. And it's going to follow Bodhi, who is a young Indian elephant from Kerala who dreams of becoming a famous Bollywood dancer.
I mean, I don't need anything more. To be honest, I think that's set everything up perfectly. I am so excited for this. I think, like you say, it's just the perfect Like, it's a combination that you could only dream of, and like Gurinder Chadha's storytelling combined with Aardman's just eccentric and loving handmade style. I want it now.
So do I. I mean, can we go into like cryostasis or something and set ourselves to come out on the day it releases in cinemas? We'd have so much content to catch up on though if we did that. Like, it's going to be like 2 or 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before
No
it
Time
comes
to Die
out.
might come out by that time.
No Time to Die will not ever come out.
It's a myth, I tell you, a myth.
It is. I literally have said this to multiple people, and I've said it to both of you as well. I don't think it exists. It doesn't exist.
It just makes me think of. Did you guys ever see, like, way back now? There was So The Onion did an article about what was it? There was something about the Iron Man trailer when that first came out, and it said Iron Man audiences looking forward to film based on the Iron Man trailer or something like that. Just made me think of this. Like, it's basically the same thing at this point.
Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? Like, we've seen so much. I mean, well, we haven't even seen so much. It's been like, what, 2 trailers or maybe 3 variations of a couple of trailers, and then we've had all of the promotional material, and then the song, of course, by Billie Eilish, who is kind of going out of relevancy now in terms of
Ouch.
Well, yeah, but like last year when James Bond would have come out, she was like the biggest of big famous song superstars, and now
Like, Bad Guy appeared on every trailer in every sort of film.
Exactly.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And I was actually having a conversation with someone on Twitter about this, but I think if No Time to Die had have come out, Billie Eilish probably would have absolutely ran away with the Oscar this year.
Ooh.
But next year, I'm not so sure, because there's going to be big contention.
Oh God, there's going to be, isn't there?
Oh boy,
it's going to be a bloodbath. That's all I'm saying.
Cannot wait.
I'm so excited. I hopefully, if we're still doing this that time next year, we'll be able to talk about that more depth. But yeah, so all very excited for this this Aardman project, as we are with any Aardman project, and still, of course, waiting patiently for Chicken Run 2 whenever that arrives. Hopefully, not too too long in the distant future, but probably will be.
For that to hatch.
I see what you did there. Well done. Well done.
Excellent.
Oh,
excellent.
Hey.
Very, very good. I couldn't think of one off the top of my head, so we're just gonna move on. So, this has kind of been a little bit of a, well, I say a little bit, it's been an all-encompassing conversation on Twitter and in the kind of film sphere itself, ever since cinemas reopened after the pandemic and all of that kind of stuff. But this weekend was the release of The Suicide Squad, which of course we talked about last week on the show, but it was the release of The Suicide Squad in America, which released in cinemas and on HBO Max at the same time. Now, I think going into that, they were looking at, I think the predictions were that it was going to make $40 million domestically in its opening weekend. And after the fact, it only made, well, I say only, it's still a lot of money, but it fell $13.5 million short of that estimation in the opening weekend. And that's kind of spurred a bit of a conversation about box office numbers and kind of what's going to be happening going forward. Like, what do you guys think about this, and about kind of, I suppose, how box office numbers measure the success of a movie?
Charlie, do you want to take this one?
So I was really excited to go see The Duke last week. There was due to be a press screening, and then I got told it'd been pushed back, and I thought, okay, fair enough, a couple of weeks. And it was due to come out, I think, September 7th, top of my head, probably not that date. And instead it's been pushed back till March. And the statement they released today was about how they were concerned about the box office for it because there's a quote here from the statement, because bosses fear that older audience members may not see the movie due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. And it's just interesting to still see films being pushed back. Like we've got The Green Knight with I'm sorry to bring it up again and to hurt everyone's feelings again, with an
It's really
unconfirmed date.
it's so hard to hear the three words. It's just oh
But I can see why there is a concern. But I can also see why people are maybe reluctant to go back to the cinemas. It was a bit of a different story when it was 50% capacity and you had that free space.
Hmm.
We're now going
Yeah.
in where it's less certain how busy it's going to be in a screen. And as someone who did catch COVID last September and still is quite sick with it, 11 months on, I can definitely understand why people aren't going to risk it for the Suicide Squad if, that is a concern for them.
Yeah, very much so. It's so interesting, isn't it? Because and it kind of happened as well with In the Heights earlier this year, because that's another
Mm.
Warner Bros. Film
Yeah,
that
yeah.
released at exactly the same time, and people were comparing it to. I saw a tweet that compared it to the opening weekend of The Greatest Showman, and saying how because it didn't reach that kind of them numbers that it wasn't successful. I'm just like, I think it's boring me now that people are using numbers to kind of say, oh well, that's not a good film.
Yeah, there's certainly been a very vocal subset of a very particular kind of film fan. I mean, to call them fans is anyway, cultists more than anything. To say that the James Gunn project is a failure and dead in the water and that kind of thing. I think it is maybe putting the cart before the horse. It's certainly looking at that with any kind of hint of belief behind it. I think, like you say, we are in the midst still of a global pandemic. I think that can't ever. I mean, I've seen people even try to understate that, and it's still like, no, we are in the middle of a global pandemic, and especially like in the US, like the situation there is just not getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse, especially with the Delta variant. I think they're having a really bad time of it. I think I'd be interested to see how studios respond. I think Warner Brothers is happy to carry on regardless because, like you said, Alex, at the start of this, with HBO Max, they are pretty much happy to carry on with that. And like, I think what we're seeing more and more is that studios are now starting to realize the future and the potential of streaming services. So if they have so many million people tuning in on their apps at home to watch The Suicide Squad or In the Heights or Godzilla vs. Kong or what have you, then they're not going to see it as a loss. And I think we're maybe looking at these things in terms of sheer box office numbers, especially in this day and age, as maybe a little bit of an outdated model. But
yeah,
but then it would be interesting again to see how other studios respond. We already mentioned No Time to Die,
yeah.
whether that exists or not. But there's been what 2 years now of delays, nearly, and it just feels like that can never make its money back now. So do they just cut their losses and
Yeah.
just release it anyway? And like, I don't know.
It's interesting talking of other studios and stuff. People are now becoming worried that one of the most anticipated films of this year, Spider-Man: No Way Home, is not going to be released and is going to be pushed back again.
Oh.
And that kind of comes from the fact that we haven't seen a trailer yet. We haven't really seen any promotional material in that sense. And of course, we've obviously been seeing promotional material for things like Shang-Chi and the Eternals and trailers for them films, because Disney have control over the release of those ones, whereas with Spider-Man, Sony still have control of the distribution of that.
Because I did
And
hear a rumor that they were holding back the trailer of Spider-Man to show before Shang-Chi to persuade people to go to the cinema, which doesn't sound like it makes sense.
No, it's all just a bit strange, and I feel like because it's new, I suppose it's new territory for everyone and all the companies and distributors and stuff like that, and it's going to take a while to kind of get into. And I feel like from Sony's perspective, Spider-Man it is hands down $1 billion film. In normal circumstances, it would probably surpass that easily, especially with all the hype that has come with it over the past year and through like Loki and WandaVision and stuff, and how it's going to be connected to Doctor Strange and everything like that. But I just don't know whether in the current circumstances $1 billion film is even possible now. And I don't know whether Sony and other distribution companies might have to suck that up and just, because they can't just delay the films forever. they've got to release them at some point. And
well, they could put them on the Premier Access on Disney Plus and face another lawsuit.
Or that. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a confusing situation, which we could talk about for hours and hours on end, I'm sure. But yeah. Very interesting to see what happens towards the end of this year with different films being delayed and whatnot. But on to a more positive news story. We've had our first inclination of some of the films, or well, I say some of one of the films we're going to be seeing at this year's BFI London Film Festival, which is going to be taking place between October 6th and October 17th this year. They've released what film we are going to be that is going to be opening the festival, and I, for one, am over the moon about this. It is going to be the world premiere of Netflix's new school western, The Harder They Fall, which just boasts the most insane cast. You've got Jonathan Majors, Zazie Beetz, Delroy Lindo, Lakeith Stanfield, Damon Wayans Jr., Regina King, and Idris Elba. I mean, it's just stacked.
I mean, that's about as stacked as it comes. My God. I am so on board with this. I think the London Film Festival has always had a good run of really great opening films, and this looks like it might top them all. I'm going to put it out there.
That's the kind of cast that I want to go to the gala just so I can just pervert them a little bit.
Oh my God, that would be so awesome. Yeah.
I've done that once before, but for A Monster Calls, and I was stood next to Sigourney Weaver, who wasn't as tall as I thought she was, but then I am quite tall, so that's not quite right. And I was just like, this is amazing.
I cannot wait. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. Really, really great. And the full program is going to be launched on the 7th of September this year, so keep an eye out for that. I'm sure when that gets released, we'll do a full rundown of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and see. It's going to be really exciting to see what films they're showing. I have a theory that Last Night in Soho might have its UK premiere at
I really want it. Yeah,
I hope that will. That'll be really cool. Right, final news story of the day, and it's a weird one. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, you just have to say it. I'm already
we just have to rip the band-aid off. He did an interview with Vanity Fair, and basically said that he doesn't bathe. He and I quote, "More and more, I find bathing to be less necessary at times. I do also think that there's a whole world of not bathing that is also really helpful for skin maintenance, and we naturally clean ourselves." What a stinky, stinky man, Jake Gyllenhaal. How dare you? No, yeah. I don't really know where it came from. I don't know whether the interviewer asked him whether he gave it up unprovoked, like Matt Damon did with his.
The idea. Do you shower? Do you like bathing?
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a question that would be asked in an interview. It's just it's so.
But what
strange.
does it say that he offers up that kind of information as well? Like, no one wins from this conversation.
Never. There's just no way. And it's
least of all the rest of us who now have to endure every celebrity now being asked about their showering habits.
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. We've already had Dwayne Johnson come up with his response, saying that he showers at least twice a day. And Yeah, I don't really know where to go with it.
This is the
Apparently,
world
though,
we're in now. It's
apparently,
just
apparently Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis don't bathe either.
I think they said that they don't until their kids are like visibly dirty that they'll like wash them. It's just, but like you said, why are celebrities being asked this? Is this like the level of journalistic questioning we've come to, where people are just like, right, we've got all these questions. Do you wash?
It's
Oh my god!
just crazy, absolutely crazy. Well, there we have it. That's your film news for this week, and it's time to move away from the stinky celebrities. Now, I am very aware of the fact that we're 25 minutes into this recording and we've not started talking about the film. So we have a choice to make here. Do we want to get rid of trailer talk for the week, or do we just want to like talk about one, or what do we want to do?
Is it worth doing, like, to show how rubbish this week's trailers are, doing a quick whistle-stop tour, like, title, one-word sentence each? As in alternate?
Let's do it. Let us do that then. Yeah, cool. So
Cool.
I'll start off with Midnight Mass. Charlotte, you do He's All That.
Yes, please.
Simon, take Cry Macho, and then I'll
And then we'll
wrap
do like
up.
a barbershop trio of Cop Shop.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, and I'll take Cop Shop. So, right, okay, yeah, cool. Right, it's now time for this week's trailer talk, and we're going to be honest with you, it's not been a great week for trailers, but we're still going to give you a whistle-stop tour of everything that we've seen that we think is worth talking about. Starting off with Midnight Mass, which is from the people behind The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. It is an original series again, and it is going to be airing on Netflix on the 24th of September.
Yeah, and we've also got He's All That, which is a gender-flipped reimagining of the 1999 film She's All That, coming to Netflix at the end of August, the 27th. It looks
And
great,
it's quite-
but like great, but not great.
And it's got Matthew Lillard in it as well, for some reason.
Matthew Lillard, I mean, he's always good. I say, can't fault him. Someone you can fault, though, Clint Eastwood is back doing his gruff old man shtick in the trailer for Cry Macho, which looks like Gran Torino, but south of the American border. So take from that what you will. There's also a bit with the chicken called Macho. It's meant to be life-affirming, I'm sure, but it just comes off as same old Clint. But that's next month that comes out, so you got that to look forward to.
And then finally, Gerard Butler is absolutely chopping up an American accent again in Cop Shop. I watched the trailer for it. Still not really too sure what it's about, but there's guns in it. That's all you really need to know.
It looks a bit like Wacky Assault on Precinct 13.
Probably.
I think it's
yeah.
a cop versus a con man versus an assassin. This a Mexican standoff between the three, from what I could work out.
Very interesting. And that releases on the 10th of September. So all that to look forward to. But before we move on into talking about the main movies of the week, Simon.
Yes. Well, I mean, first of all, we've got to thank some very special people. As you know from last week and week before, hopefully before that, and hopefully you already know her anyway. So JumpCut Online and the JumpCut family really thrive from lovely patrons. We have so many lovely people who support us, whether it's from £1 a month up to £8 a month. It's different tiers. You might already be familiar with Patreon. You might be one of these people we're going to be thanking now. But if you're not, get yourself over to patreon.com/JumpCut_online and pledge a little bit a month. And hey, you might even get your name read out next time as a special thanks. For now, though, we're going to be thanking these lovely people. We want to say a big thanks to Chris Wilson, Enon Films, Robert Denny, Daryl Griffiths, Sam Luck, Orla Smith, Peter Hodgkins, Andy Meakin, Fabiana Rosas, Hamish Calvert, Martin Richmond, and Manuel Bento. All of you are lovely people who gave very kindly every month to the top tier. They're all Ryan Gosling themed. You'll love them. The top one is called Only God Subscribes. And, and these great guys as well. Thank you again to them. And, hopefully we'll hear your name being read out again soon too.
Thank you very much, Simon. And of course, the website is patreon.com/JumpCut_online if you want to go and check that out. And of course you do. Go and do it. Check it out now. So it is time to move into the review of the week. And the big release this week is A24's Zola. So, Zola is a film about a Detroit waitress who is seduced into a weekend of stripping in Florida for some quick cash. But the trip becomes a sleepless 48-hour odyssey involving a nefarious friend, her pimp, and her idiot boyfriend. This is based off of the absolutely viral, iconic Twitter thread from 2015 by Zola King. And it's also loosely based off the interview that she gave with the New York Times, I believe, after that fact. So, how did we all feel about Zola? I know, Charlotte, me and you got the chance to watch it back at Sundance, and Simon, you've watched it now as it's released in UK cinemas.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. So I was very lucky to catch it at the ever-brilliant Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square.
Nice.
With a packed crowd as well. And I feel like I watched it in possibly the best possible setting because, like, not only was it just so nice to have a screen full of people, obviously carefully observing social distancing, which was even better, but everyone who was just so game for it. And because the film itself is, I mean, like you say in that, like it's a 48-hour odyssey. Obviously, not in the film itself. It's a very tight hour and a half. In fact, surprisingly so, because that ending creeps up on you. But but yeah, everyone was just absolutely getting into it. There were laughs aplenty. People were gasping. It was honestly, it felt like the most entertaining film I've seen on the big screen in a long time.
That's awesome. I mean, were you aware of the Twitter thread before going into the film? That's kind of...
So I knew of it, but I hadn't read it before I'd gone in. Actually, on Charlotte's recommendation, when because she shared it on Twitter, but I was told watch the film before reading the thread, and so literally on the tube home, I was reading it and just thinking, oh my god! So this was like the sanitized version of this story.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, it's just so intriguing because I actually remember when the Twitter thread first kind of went viral in 2015 and remember reading it and just being like, just blown away. When in the first tweet where she's like, you know, it's really long but full of suspense, like she was not lying. It is literally full of suspense, and it's just such an amazingly told story as well. And that's yeah, I think why it's so good, because it's told from her perspective, in a sense of, like, obviously she's hamming up the details and just kind of going overboard with them. And yeah, it just makes a massive farcical couple of, well, an hour and a half of cinema, which is just really wonderful.
It's interesting you use the word farcical because it's a really grim reality it's dealing with. The
Very
topic
true. Yeah, very true.
involving
yeah.
prostitution, stripping, being pimped out, and exploitation. And yet I think it handles it with such kind of empathy. There's no judgment really, and I also like the fact it stays weirdly neutral, and there's a really lovely moment in it, not to give spoilers, where it kind of questions authenticity and the role of point of view and storytelling.
Yeah, I know exactly which point you mean. And I think the film does, like, it gives the people at the center of that story a platform to kind of make their point. Obviously, Zola primarily, again, without trying to give too much away. I think what's really great to, and I think worth mentioning time and time again, is obviously Taylor Page's central performance as Zola.
Yep.
But in particular, Coleman Domingo as
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
he is
Stunning.
so good in this. Like,
What
he's
a wonderful
funny,
performance.
terrifying, sympathetic even sometimes, like in a weird way. But he's just like, oh my god, he is wild to watch.
it's the full spectrum, isn't it? You go from, well, I mean, from the moment he comes on screen, you know that you can't trust him. But even that thought that you have is very much played upon, and at times throughout the movie, you're like, "Oh wait, can I trust you?" And then obviously instantly you're like thrown back into the definitely not.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's so interesting how Common Domingo played that, and it's just a testament to him as an actor of how just wonderful. Because obviously, we were seeing him on the screen, but it almost felt like we weren't at the same time. Because
Especially that code switching from the American accent to, I think it was Nigerian,
yeah,
instantly switching
yeah,
back and forth, and the malice he managed to convey in doing so.
and I think what the greatest thing is as well is that when it comes to adaptations of things, actors usually have pages and pages of research that they can do, but all these actors had really probably was the Twitter thread and the article, and not really too much to go on. So to be able to give such an authentic performance just is incredible. And that I have to now bring in, of course, Nicholas Braun, who we were talking about Succession before,
Yeah.
is from Succession fame, and I just how wonderful was he in Zola? I thought he was absolutely just, yeah, very sad, very sad to watch him go through what he goes through. But again, yeah, just a really really wonderful performance from him.
He is such a brilliant comic actor. Like, you see that in Succession
Yeah.
a lot, and he kind of plays that character again here.
Yeah,
Like, obviously to a different level, because again, without spoiling Succession, like, cousin Greg is, he's a bit pathetic, but he's also a bit clever. Um,
yeah,
in Zola, his character, I want to say his name's Derek, uh,
Yeah, it is.
is
that's the
pathetic,
one.
and he's not clever.
Yeah. No, overall, yeah, I think the performances are the thing that really, really do hold this film up incredibly well. But the direction is also really great, and the way that it is kind of shown to us on screen as if it was, Zola herself tweeting out the story as it was happening in real time, kind of thing. Every time that she quotes a sentence from the Twitter thread, there's a Twitter noise and that kind of stuff, and I just thought that they were really nice touches as well to kind of add into the way that they adapted the story.
It also shows what a phenomenal storyteller Zola is just within that Twitter thread. The ability to
Mm,
kind of convey, and she's said, at certain points she did inflate stuff. She knew it was better, more interesting if she said things and structured it a certain way.
yep.
Just found that fascinating.
It's just so good. I think it's got so many layers, and I think I suppose a fan. Do I say a fan of the Twitter thread from yesterday? Um,
An aficionado.
yeah, no, like going into it, being aware of what it was and exactly what happens. It was so interesting to see it all play out in the form of film, which is really good.
I just don't know if, like, because obviously social media has been like the subject of film for the last decade or so in any kind of major way, obviously, but the social network being the start of it all, really, when people thought, oh, hang on a minute, we can kind of cover this quote unquote legitimately in
Mm.
cinema. And it does feel like an interesting evolution that we've now come to a point where we're finding stories from Twitter threads, for instance.
Yeah,
Like, it just kind of feels like, does this open the floodgates for other adaptations of things like
Well,
this?
so we've mentioned most of the amazing performances in there, but you've also got Stefani, played by Riley Keough, who I always like to point out is Elvis Presley's granddaughter, which I know isn't like the done thing you shouldn't, but it's like word vomit. I have to go like, isn't it weird that she's Elvis Presley's granddaughter?
like when
But
you're
she's
watching Lord of
phenomenal.
the Rings and you have to say that Viggo Mortensen broke his foot.
Yeah, or that they're the New Zealand rugby team, the the
But
oh wow, my brain has gone blank.
Helm's Deep?
No,
the
the
Or-
not
the Orcs,
trolls.
the
Orcs,
Orcs, the
orcs.
Orcs.
Jesus
There we
Christ.
go.
This is the worst bit about long COVID is you get these like complete blanks in your brain. I
Oh,
forgot the
no.
word for die and I forgot the word for carton. So I came up with a box with a straw and substance that turns one thing from one colour to another.
I mean, it's still got there in the end. That's all that matters.
Very
really.
wordy, considering.
Very wordy. Yeah, no, very true. Yeah, no, it was a great performance from her as well, and interesting because I don't think I probably have, but I don't think I've actively seen her in anything else. But apparently she was in Mad Max Fury Road,
Yeah, she was one of
Oh, it's one
Immortan
of
Joe's
the wives.
wives. Yeah.
which I haven't seen. So
And she was in the Girlfriend Experience, which is on Amazon Prime, and and it's not a similar role. It's the kind of disconnected character working in an industry. She's amazing in that Girlfriend Experience on Amazon Prime.
yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out.
Me
Oh, and
too,
American
actually.
Honey. It's wonderful in American Honey.
Oh, yeah, she is in that. Yeah.
Cool, right. Are we, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we can cut that there. Are we happy with did we want to mention anything else about Zola before we moved on?
No, I think
No,
honestly, it's just a wild 90-minute ride. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Right. Doom. Okay, Charlotte. You have seen a new Matt Damon film, Stillwater, at the cinema this
yes, I
week.
have. And as we established last week, we are Matt Damon stans.
Yes.
So I
The
thought I'd
invite.
take one for the team.
Yeah, Matt Damon, if you're listening, the invite is still open for you to join us on JumpCast.
So Stillwater starts off, and it's about Matt Damon is like this all-American redneck trying to get a job in the oil industry. He's currently unemployed. He's going to go visit his daughter. All seems kind of relatively normal, except he arrives to France and he's not there on holiday. He's there to visit his daughter who's in prison, and she's there because of she's been sentenced for the murder of her girlfriend, and he is there to visit her as he does quite regularly. Except this time she has new evidence, and she asks him, who's normally let her down frequently in the past, which is explored within the film. She entrusts him to look up this new lead. The story's loosely inspired-ish by Amanda Knox and what happened with her court case, and she's spoken out on Twitter about how she wasn't consulted at all, which is actually quite a contrast to Zola. Quite a nice link.
Yeah.
It's a solid drama. I'd say 3 stars if we're going to go for the star route. There is a point though that I was on board and then I stopped being on board and was quite bored and wanted it to finish.
Okay.
There's a narrative choice which I think it jumps the shark, and not the king shark, the good kind.
Not the good kind.
Stop wearing a fake moustache.
And does Matt Damon say the F slur in this movie? No, I'm joking. I did that.
I was like,
so yeah, so is it one that you'd recommend people to go and watch, or not? Not really. Yeah, maybe.
I kind of feel like if it's on and you fancy a solid drama, yes, I wouldn't rush out to go see it, especially not when you've got something like Zola that is so inventive and creative. It feels like an odd choice to then see this real meh drama.
Yeah, cool.
I will give him credit for his performance, though. He does embody Americana really well, like this stifled, restricted, trapped in himself American. Did a good job.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, maybe go and see it. If you're around a cinema and Stillwater's showing and nothing else is,
just
go for it. Go for
and
it. Why not?
The water's rising outside. Go and hide.
Yeah, exactly. Go from one bit of water to another. I assume there isn't actually much to do with actual water in that film. Anyway, moving on. I on Saturday went and watched Profile, which I didn't know much about going into it, and I kind of wish I had known about what it was going to be about going into it, and that'll become clear. But Profile is made by the same people who made Searching with John Cho.
Oh.
So the stick with these films is that it is all filmed through computer capture. and they use Apple products. So they use Macs and things. And that basically the story unfolds through that medium. So whenever the main character is on screen, they're either maybe on like a Skype call and you're seeing them through their webcam, or they've like got up their FaceTime app. Maybe they're doing the makeup through that and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously, if they're using an application like Facebook, you see everything that they're typing, everything that they're doing, and all that kind of stuff. And in Searching, that works so well. And I actually really adore Searching. I only watched it recently, but
Yeah,
it
me
is
too.
a really, really good film.
It's a terrific film, yeah.
Really well done, and a really great use of that medium. And which is why going into Profile, I was so excited, because I was like, well, this is going to be really interesting. Now, Profile is based off of a book, which is a memoir of a true story. And it's basically about a British journalist who goes undercover to learn about the recruitment process to ISIS. So back in, I think it was 2014, it was a very big thing in the media about women and girls from European countries being recruited by terrorists who were part of ISIS, and kind of becoming their brides and all of that, and being exploited. And that's what this film covers, not your general Saturday night entertainment. And yeah, it's such an interesting concept, because, and I think it probably wouldn't have worked in any other medium. Like, it does work really well within the confines of a computer screen and that kind of stuff. But I don't know what I was expecting. Again, because I hadn't researched about it and I didn't really know what was going to happen, I don't think I was expecting anything, and maybe that was part of why I was let down by it. It's a very uncomfortable watch. There are moments throughout it where you just kind of feel like, well, or at least I felt like I just wanted to sink into the floor and never come back. And I suppose that comes part and parcel with the subject matter, because it is very, very serious and in that sense. But if you're going to go into this film thinking, oh, you know what, I really enjoyed Searching and I'd love to watch a film that's like it, then don't, because it is entirely different. Like, it is just the polar opposite, really, of Searching. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think in a sense it's probably worth watching just to have watched it. But I didn't personally love it as much as I enjoyed Searching.
That's a shame, because yeah, Searching was such a great film, and like the trailer for Profile does make it sound quite interesting. Like, I was intrigued. My interest was piqued by the trailer, so that's a shame to hear.
Yeah. But that is obviously, I'm not the kind of person who's just like, no, don't go and watch a film unless it's the Emoji Movie. But yeah, it just depends how you are with that kind of subject matter, because it is very, very heavy.
Right. Speaking of the Emoji Movie and kind of Sony's animation house, probably take us to our next subject.
Yes, we can. This is a new thing. I'm very excited, and we have to give Simon full credit for the name of this. So it is time for the first edition of
Say it.
of Hot and Streamy. So, Hot and Streamy will see us bringing our kind of recommendations of things that you can catch on the Netflixes of the world, and the Amazon Primes, and the Apple TVs, and the Disney Pluses, and all the streaming services that you can get your hands on. And we're going to be starting that off with an animation film, as you said, Simon, that has come out on Netflix this week, which is called Vivo. It's from Sony Pictures Animation, and it is from the mind of Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I adore unequivocally. Absolutely love him. We've all caught this week, I believe. How do we feel about it? What are our thoughts?
I'm not even going to make any bones about this. I love this film so much. Oh my god, I knew that it was getting some very good responses from people, and people were like yearning for the soundtrack, as is the case when any Lin-Manuel Miranda outing happens lately. With obviously with Hamilton all these years, and then The Heights, and then more recently you had things like Mary Poppins Returns, in which he had a part, and like obviously we've got Encanto coming as well. Like it's just we can't move for Lin-Manuel Miranda movies, and this is just absolutely charming. Like the film is about a kinkajou, I think it's called.
Yes.
It's kind of like this raccoon lemur thing, and he's living up in Cuba with his, I want to say, friend. It's not quite owner, and yeah, so his owner friend is a musician, and he was once a friend slash performer of this big famous singer who's played by I want to say Gloria Estefan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but so something happens, which won't spoil, but essentially there was an unrequited love between Vivo, who's the Kinkajou's owner, and this musician woman, which involves a song and unrequited love, and it's the journey of getting to this singer and the friends they make along the way.
Yes.
But yeah, oh my god, I love it so much.
It's a 5-star film. I don't make the rules.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I have to say about it. No, I honestly adored it. The music's great. Lin-Manuel Miranda, just put Lin-Manuel Miranda in front of a blank piece of paper and he'll just write a masterpiece of a song. Like there's just no stopping him these days, I think. The songs are great. I particularly loved, I don't know whether people were kind of talking more about this one, but the March to the Beat of My Own Drum. I
was gonna say the
absolutely
same.
That is great.
love that song, and especially the bit towards the end where it kind of goes into the auto-tuney bridge type bit of the song. I absolutely just love it. I think it's great. And yeah, I got emotional at times. It's just the perfect animated movie and the perfect subject matter, the perfect amount of songs. It's just perfect. It really is.
I really liked impressed me. A couple of things impressed me. One is the fact he pitched the idea in 2010.
Oh,
And I
damn.
love with Lin-Manuel Miranda, like he seems to really persevere with his passion projects, and I think it really pays off.
Yeah.
I thought something was going to happen from the trailer, and that's the thing that did happen. And although I
Yeah.
knew it was going to happen, I still was very emotionally affected.
Yeah.
But similarly, I was also very emotionally affected, as in quite scared during one sequence.
Oh yes.
I thought it was
yeah,
beautifully animated in the swamp.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where Michael Rooker, who is not Lando, who is he in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yondu. Yeah.
Yondu.
He's also
who
kind of in
voices
everything at the moment. Lin-Manuel
Suicide
Miranda's
Squad
everywhere.
as well.
Yeah, and Fast and Furious 9.
Of course.
Just for some reason.
He's really good in that, and the animation is particularly beautiful there. And I also really enjoy, I'm trying to think of another film that did it recently. I guess Crypto Zoo did. But when they blend different styles of animation to convey its different time periods or dream versus reality.
I tell you what did that as well. Actually, funnily from the same studio.
Same studio. I know what you're going to say, Simon. I know what you're going to say. Yeah. Mitchell's. It's just, yeah.
Yes,
and
of course.
Charlotte, you're completely right. The little set pieces where the 2D animation comes in. And it's generally when it's kind of about Andres and I can't remember the woman's name now. That's really bad.
Marta,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah. So when it's generally when it's about them two, isn't it? And the kind of it's showing the past and it's just beautiful. It's just amazing to look at, and it's just incredible. And it almost kind of makes me miss 2D animation because of how wonderful it is. And obviously there are still a few animated companies that are bringing out 2D animation, like Cartoon Saloon, for example. But the big companies now generally veer away from that in favor of 3D, computer generated animation. So it's just lovely to see in a mainstream film like that.
And say Sony as a studio, like its animation house has had a real there's something in the water there. There must be because
Yeah.
you've had this, like we mentioned before, the Mitchells versus the Machines, and not forgetting the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, which was
Oh,
just phenomenal.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, Sony Pictures Animation have released 3 films this year. They've released The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Wish Dragon, and Vivo, and they have all been phenomenal in their own ways. Yeah, just
It's
great stuff.
They are on a run that I don't think has been seen in a long time. Maybe this might be big calling it, but maybe this kind of decade's version of peak Pixar.
Yeah, I mean,
all 90s Disney, that kind of
All
golden
90s
age.
yeah,
Disney.
it is.
Yeah.
It's like the Sony Pictures Animation Renaissance.
They have had a bit of a purple patch.
Although-
Yeah.
Do you think it won't get that attention because they are just dropping them straight onto Netflix with pretty little
Yeah.
fanfare, to be honest?
Yeah, it is kind of sad, and hopefully the fact that they're on Netflix will help. Well, in the future at least, or as the future comes in, word of mouth and stuff like that, and maybe will be solidified in history as that. And you know what, I love Vivo, but I really do hope that for the Mitchells versus the Machines, because I adore it tenfold. I mean, it's my favorite film of the year so far, hands down. Nothing even really comes close to it. So yeah, I'd really love for it to stay in the forefront and not kind of decay into memory and
you said
leave.
You said at the top of this show, Alex, that the original song categories at the award season is going to be a bloodbath. Animation is going to be equally tough to call.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think it's the first year where I'm genuinely thinking Disney Pixar isn't gonna take. I don't think it's gonna take it. I mean, even when Spider-Verse was in contention, and obviously it did win, which thankfully it did, because obviously it's incredible. But I don't think I'd ever thought to myself that Spider-Man winning was a pipe dream back in 2018, 2019, whatever it was. I don't think I thought, yeah, it's definitely going to win, because it was up against Toy Story? No, Toy Story maybe. I can't quite remember. But anyway, what it was up against, it was big Disney Pixar films that you would imagine would win. But yeah, I think going into this award season, it's going to be so interesting, and we've still got Encanto as well.
Yeah.
From Disney. So,
which is again Lin-Manuel. He's back again.
He is. He's just a monster. Absolute monster. It's crazy. Right, moving on. Mubi has released Aubrey Plaza's Black Bear. It kind of did the festival rounds a little bit. Finally released here in the UK on Mubi. Watched it today. Very good. Very good. Would wholeheartedly recommend. Really interesting. I genuinely believe that Aubrey Plaza is one of the best actresses working in film right now. She's just phenomenal. And I mean, I suppose it's not really a surprise. She's just amazing. Absolutely adore it. Adore her, shall I say. Really good. I don't know whether you guys have seen it, but yeah, it's amazing. Wholeheartedly recommend.
I haven't had a chance.
I haven't seen it, but the trailer is so compelling.
Yeah, it's not at all what you would expect it to be. Not at all what I was expecting. And in the best way possible. Really, really, really good.
Nice.
And intrigued.
Yeah, and finally on Hot and Streamy, as of today, when this episode is released, is it the 13th of August? Yes.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Apple TV Plus has released its prize-winning film. It won some awards back at Sundance in America, and that is Coda, which I still haven't had a chance to watch yet. I'm probably going to watch it as soon as we finish recording here. Actually, I've been meaning to watch it for a while. But yeah, that is out, and I have been told by many people that it is absolutely great. I believe, Charlotte, that you've seen it.
Yes, I saw it at Sundance. If you want a taste of how seriously Apple are taking this, first of all, they paid 2 days after it premiered at Sundance. They paid a record-breaking $25 million for distribution rights.
Whoa!
And at our press screening, so I did 12 films in 3 days, And that was the only screening where people were sent in security to make sure we weren't pirating it.
Oh, really?
There were
Oh.
4 guys. It was practically a ratio of like 1 security guy to 10 journalists.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Which created a weird suspenseful vibe, considering the film is so bloomin' feel good.
Yeah.
It's with these kind of films, it's difficult 'cause you don't want to oversell it and people watch it and go, "Oh, it was all right, not as good as you said it was." But I'm a massive fan of this. I was wearing my mask in the screen and I cried at certain points so much I was like accidentally waterboarding myself.
Oh no.
It's just so charming. So CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adults.
Right.
And Ruby, the main character, is the only hearing member of her family of 4. And they're very dependent on her because of their circumstances. They've got a family fishing business. But she's in her last year of high school and there's a possibility of pursuing her love of music. And the film opens with her singing, I think it's Etta James, Something's Got a Hold on Me. And it's
nice.
extraordinary. It gives you straight away the amazing joy of that song, but also just her talent. And then it goes on from there, her being torn between these 2 sort of worlds and passions, but also what's required of her. I really, really loved it.
Well, that sounds absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to watch it, and hopefully, when it actually gets on next week's show, we might have a mention of it if we've all had a chance to catch it.
Yeah, I cannot wait to watch it, especially off the back of that recommendation.
Well, there we go. We have come to the end of another JumpCast episode. Very proud of us, guys. I'm very proud of us.
We made it.
And next week, I think the big film is Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds, Jodie Comer, Taika Waititi as well. And so
that's
we're
been
going to
a while coming as well. That's been long delayed.
That isn't one that's been delayed a lot as well. Yeah, so
it's to the point where they wanted to stop making trailers because it'd be showing too much of the films. That's when Ryan started doing his shtick by adding things in, like Deadpool and Taika Waititi doing Korg, kind of give them some more space.
Yeah, that's been really fun to see. They actually released some video game style posters for Free Guy this evening that look really cool and absolutely how you do film promotion, like to a T. It's really, really, really fun, really interesting. So I'm really excited for that film. Cannot wait. Jodie Comer's first Hollywood blockbuster, what she deserves completely.
Yes.
I'm really excited for that.
And there's also Don't Breathe 2, which is coming out that weekend.
Yes.
And which is going to be really interesting to see, especially off the back of the first one and how certain characters developed. Because, if you know what I'm talking about, the trailer for Don't Breathe 2 is raising some eyebrows for sure.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued about that because I haven't seen the first one, but I will be watching the first one before I go and watch the second one.
I cannot wait to hear what you think about that film because,
interesting.
I find
interesting
horror
stuff.
really scary, so woohoo!
Well, once again, thank you very much, Simon. Thank you very much, Charlotte, for joining me, and we'll be back next week. Same place, same time, same everything. We will be here, and I'm going to leave you on a joke. So,
oh God,
guys, what did the mother goose call its son?
I have no idea.
Ryan Gosling.
Oh. No.
Thank you very much, and we will
on that note,
see you next week.
Bye, guys.